Hello everybody and welcome to another review from Experience Kills. My name's Cameron and I'm joined by the lovable Ben.
Hello everybody, it's a pleasure to be here for what will no doubt be an R-rated XXX Extreme Edition of Experience Kills.
Does this mean I get to swear as much as I want?
Well, I mean, less swearing and probably more like sort of crappy dick jokes that you'd get in like an Adam Sandler Netflix film.
So, pretty much one of our regular reviews.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough.
But why, Cameron, can we talk like this?
We can talk like this because we are reviewing Leisure Suit Larry. Wet dreams don't dry.
And I will admit, when I saw that subtitle, I did, like, physically cringe.
This entire game really made me cringe. However, not in the worst way possible, because I have the sense of humour of a man who enjoys his dick jokes.
Well, at least you're honest, Cam.
I'm a very simple man, okay? I like alcohol, beautiful women, and dick jokes. That's the holy trinity for me. So this was actually made by a different company than what typically did the original Leisure Suit Larry games. Now, for those of you who don't know, Larry's been around for, I think the first game is in the late 80s, 87, I think?
Bloody hell.
It's been a long time.
So that's over 30 years.
He's been on and off for 30 years, I'll say that.
Jesus.
Yeah, so his first game was around 1987. They did kind of remake the first game, I think, in 2013. That was the last kind of official Leisure Suit Larry game. But they kind of been on and off throughout the entire years. The story's kind of very general. If you don't know Larry by now, let me lay it down for you. He is a balding, nerdy, geeky kind of dude in his late 30s to 40s. He was living with his mum in a bloody basement. He was doing nothing with his life until he decided, you know what, I like women a lot. So he went out there, tried chatting up women, wearing a leisure suit, basically, just looking spiffy in his duds around that sort of time, I guess. And just trying to pick up women, and it's just not working. And that's where the funny comes in, I guess. It's a lot of double entendre, a lot of, like I said, my favourite dick jokes, and just getting turned down by women in general. But as you go along, it does get. That's the aim of the game, is to get laid. That's Larry. That is Larry in a nutshell.
I mean, he's a skeezy, creepy kind of perv, yeah. But I guess.
Oh yeah.
I guess in a sort of lovable way, that he's just this loser that has no real idea of how to interact in reality with not just with women, with anyone.
Pretty much, yeah. Kind of my hero.
I mean, don't say yourself so short. I mean, he's a grade A gender stereotype. I mean, he's really a walking cliche of the era. And
yeah,
you tell me this game is set in the modern day.
Yes. So, a little preface about the original games. It was a point-and-click adventure game back when those were the kind of the norm, I guess. It's sort of Monkey Island era, you know. The new games are very similar, so it's point-and-click. The graphics have been updated and they've changed his design a little bit, so he's not quite as short, chubby and fat and, you know, generally dislikable. Now he's tall, a little bit podgy, and still slightly lovable, I guess. I haven't played a Larry game for like 12 years, okay? And I didn't know what to think of this game when he gave it to me, I really didn't. But he's woken up in the now time, so it was originally in the 80s, 90s, now it's literally 2019. He's a man out of time, he's been literally missing for about 30 years. They acknowledge that in the game, that he's been missing for about 30 years. And so everybody's in this, you know, era of instant gratification of Instagram. Well, it's not called Instagram actually. They parody so much of like the
parody of social media.
and the social life that a lot of millennials and everything are up to nowadays. You've got Larry interacting with hipsters, he's meeting women on dating apps called Timber, for example, who's he meets them on his Pi phone, which is an experimental prototype phone that gets returned to Bill Jobs.
Brilliant.
Yep, absolutely. All the jokes that are made about kind of everything that happens that's a social norm and like famous people and famous applications and places are very kind of on the nose jokes. They set up in like New Lost Wages, the town, which Lost Wages was originally from the original games as a parody of Las Vegas.
Right.
Clearly.
What who did you say developed this new game? I don't think you mentioned there was a new developer. You didn't say who it was. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So this was done by Crazy Bunch and Assemble Entertainment.
Oh, I've literally never heard of either of those. I mean, fair enough. I mean, but it sounds to me like the writing is very, like you said, on the nose. It's obvious jokes. I mean, what is this game doing that sets it apart from the other Larry games? Anything. It's doing anything.
Well, the original kind of creator, he wasn't involved with the new game or anything like that. I'm not saying he kind of denounced it or anything like that, or said it was bad or anything. He wasn't. I remember him reading a news article. He wasn't exactly impressed with the game's title. I think that probably made him cringe too much. The man who created Leisure Suit Larry probably cringed at the game's title as well, I think.
Well, I can only imagine as a person, he's probably, in the 30 years since the first game out, came out, he must have developed and grown and matured. So, to see a franchise that is incredibly era specific still sort of trudging along due to some weird, I don't know, it's a strange thing that the Larry games are still going, because they just seem, as a concept, incredibly dated. How does it play as a point-and-click adventure game? Does it play well?
It plays well enough. I've played some of the kind of remastered point-and-clicks, like the previously mentioned Monkey Island games. I've played them. I've played Full Throttle, when those kind of got remade and remastered, and they all play very similar to the original. The new version of Larry is quite easy to grasp. They give you a lot of hints, obviously, in how to interact with certain items as well, so you're not left there going, what am I supposed to click on in the entire game? The only thing I found, I'm not going to say buggy, but that always kind of peeved me a little bit, is that whenever I looked at an item, using verbs obviously to interact with items, pick it up, look at this, talk to that sort of thing, whenever I looked at something, it would automatically open my inventory. It was very strange. It's such a nitpicky thing, but I was like, is it supposed to be doing this? And I couldn't figure out how to stop that from happening. But what you said, yeah, Larry being dated for his time, I'm not sure he is suited for this day and time. I know, I was. You probably expected me to go, Larry still fits in nowadays, it's funny as hell. But in this kind of era that we're in, I just don't think that he is better suited for this area. He's a great throwback. He's a great, like, oh, I remember Larry, I played him as a young teenager for a laugh, it was always fun. But in this sort of era of this kind of social pressures to not, not interact with women in the way that Larry does, or like not to be idolizing them and not to be put them on like a sexual pedestal, that they're just meat out there. Obviously we've grown as a society.
Yeah.
We're more accepting of women in higher places and stuff like that, and yet for Larry to come out at this time sort of thing, for me it seemed a little bit ill-suited, because he is literally, like I said before, a man out of time, and he kind of goes up and starts flirting with women again in the same way. I was sort of like, I've grown as a man, and I was sort of like, even I'm not feeling this sort of comfortable going up to a woman with those sort of remarks, that he might come up with.
I mean, if this was if they'd been smart about this, developers, they could have used the sort of framing device of Larry to sort of shine a light, and sort of explore those issues from a witty kind of counterculture nostalgia point of view, and yet address them. Do they address anything with his attitudes, or do they just play it for laughs and very sort of simplistic humour?
Yeah, they kind of do. I mean, a lot of the women that he meets, they kind of just get on with it and get used to it, and they think it's kind of like that's his thing during the time of like hipsters and stuff. Like, they think his clothes are retro, and they're like, awesome, dude. And in actuality, he's wearing clothes from the 80s. No one's actually wearing that. He's not wearing it ironically or anything like that, but they think he is, and it helps him get with some of the women. You know what I mean? It's
I mean, I'm not sure if that's clever or appalling. I can't. I'd have to play it myself to decide. That's
the thing. It's just the thing that I on one hand I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed kind of how cringy some of the chat lines were, because it was a real kind of nostalgia flow, and like no one uses those kind of pickup lines anymore, and you sort of go, oh well, Larry, really?
Oh,
you can't use those sort of, oh Larry. And then there's some of the little ones which are just sometimes a little bit too much, and you sort of like, oh god, come on Larry, that's a bit, come on.
That was too much, 30 years ago. Rein it in, mate.
Well, yeah, that was just tiptoeing the line 30 years ago. Nowadays, like, someone's calling the police on you for that kind of remark alone.
Okay, curious. So you see there are elements you enjoyed. You think it's a serviceable point-and-click adventure game, with enough modern trappings to be playable, and obviously it works from a nostalgia point of view. But what are you saying? Are you saying basically, unless you're a fan, or unless you're looking to remember Leisure Suit Larry, fondly, maybe it's a bit of a questionable choice? I mean, is that fair?
I think that's pretty much, you pretty much nailed it on the head. Yeah, I don't think anyone who is in this day and age who's probably going to buy it, who's going to be around maybe 16 or 17, will have a little laugh, but I don't think they'll get it.
Or the worry is, I guess the problem is that, impressionable younger people maybe won't get it, and also worse than that, could be influenced by it.
I mean, obviously I'd hope that their parents are obviously are better than that to buy a game like this. At least I think that they'd know better. At least, I would have thought that parents would have grown up with it, and they'd go, Larry, I remember that. Oh, Christ, I'm not letting my 12-year-old play with that, but...
I'm going to assume it's an M-rated game, or in America, or 15 or 18 or something over here. I mean, I'd have to look that up, because is it digital only? I doubt it's on a shelf somehow.
Well, it's on Microsoft, it's on PlayStation 4, it's on Nintendo Switch, actually. So it came out on the Switch at the same time as PlayStation. I don't know, I mean, I honestly can't say. I don't remember the last time I saw Legendary Larry on a shelf anyway.
Well, yeah, it's been, like you said, it's been a long time, hasn't it? So
that's the thing though, it made me enjoy certain points of it. It's just that I just don't think it's suited for this time. That's my 2 cents, man.
It's your 2 cents. It's fair enough.
Well, thanks very much everyone for joining us today. Ben, thank you for joining me as well.
As always, sir, it was a pleasure, and I'm amazed how clean we kept it.
I feel like I should end this on a dick joke.
But yeah, have you gone dry?
No, I'm always perfectly lubed. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. You can follow us on Twitter at Experience Kills. You can follow me at Camelot as well. You can follow Ben at DIYE. Where else can we be followed, Ben?
You can obviously find the audio versions of these wonderful videos on Spotify and iTunes and wherever good podcasts can be found.
Podcasts, I like it. Thanks again, Ben. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.